All right, part four. Hope everybody's excited. Things are going to start coming together. We're going to start doing CSS here. So in the last video, I added basically this kind of grid system that we built here with Fluxbox. So I'm using this Fluxbox cheat sheet to show how I'm doing this. Basically just rows and columns for now. I'm not doing a lot of fancy stuff. But that's kind of the starting point for this. We've got some rows of things here and different products, and then what we're gonna do on the side here is put the tabulator of when you check. We're gonna make a checkbox here, so if you check one, the tabulation shows up on the side. And we'll just start doing the CSS for that because the checkbox part is going to be with Redux, and I'll probably wire that up outside of a video. So for now, let's try and add checkboxes on here, and I'm just going to look at Material UI and see if there's any kind of nice tool that we can use for that. So could be in buttons maybe. Of course, they do not have a search on here. For now, I think though we can just go ahead and build it ourselves. So the tile component is the component here that represents one of these individual tiles of products. And I did go through and change this stuff a little bit just to make it a little bit cleaner. But what we're going to do, I think, is make a div tag underneath this part where the image is, and we will do, let's call this with a class name, we'll call it product image container, and throw that in here, and then I'll put another div, and this div is going to contain a checkbox, and I'll call it product check container, and we'll have input type equals checkbox. Let's just take a look at that. Oh, did something wrong here. Believe it would be that. Alright, so this is not exactly how we want it because I want the checkbox to be next to the image. I kind of want it over here. So I think what we'll do is use a Fluxbox to do this. So we'll do it in a flux direction row. So basically I'll make that container do flux direction row, so all of the things inside of it will be a flux direction row. And I believe we called it product image container. We'll throw all that in there. Whoa, that's a little crazy, right? Something happened strange there. So one thing I want to do on the image is probably say max height is also 4 em. Right. So it was just stretching it out for some reason. And then what we'll do with the checkbox is I think that we'll want to kind of put that to the side, but then I want the image to be in the center. So a way that we can achieve this is with some flex, the actual flex CSS attribute itself. So let's go back to here, and so first I'm going to address this and make this larger. Call it input, and I'm just going to say width is going to be 3 em. I want to see what that looks like. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. All right, too big. maybe a little too big. Let's just try 2 for now. Just like a nice big checkbox, that'll be fine. And then, so kind of what this is showing here is that you're going to do a flex. I believe it's grow and shrink are the actually there's another great site and it's called Fluxboxes. It kind of explains this a little bit better. Right, so here's the first one. Let's get rid of the third one. So I think what we want to do is we want to make this a lot larger, maybe like 50% of the size. So we're going to say 2 and then make this 1, or let's just say 1 and 1 to make them even. So what we'll do on each of these is we'll say here's the product check container. So the product check container, and we'll say flex 10 auto. The last one, it seems to work best on browsers like Internet Explorer if you do auto for the last one. And then especially if you don't need to use that parameter. It's the flex basis. It's a little bit complicated. So for now, let's just look at flex grow and flex shrink. Grow is probably easiest to understand. It just means you want to do it relative to the other things inside of the same flex container. And in Fluxbox, there's really 2 levels. You've got containers and then flex elements themselves. So here, this is a flex container. So we're doing container level attributes. And so we're going to do like display flex and flex direction. And then these are flex components here. So we're going to do these actual flex directives. So let's take a look and see how that made things look. A little better. It's just a little strange the way that it's pushing it way out here. So this is just like huge, right? Let's try 0.5 because that seems to be nice. Okay. So this is kind of what we want it to look like, or what I think I want it to look like for this app. And then on the side here, I want to do some stuff where I'm gonna like kind of tabulate the products. So let's create a new component, and I will call this. We'll do a new folder, and the folder will be, let's just call it shopping list. And then inside of here, I'll create a index.js. And inside of here also, I'll create an index.css. An easy way to start here, I'll just copy from this product tile, because I think what I want to do is probably use this paper as well here. We'll just call this the shopping list. We can get rid of that on click. I don't think we're going to need that. There will be props, but not yet. And for the paper, we can just say your list or something like that, you know, not too important here. Now the one thing that I do want to do aside from renaming this is I want to lay this stuff out in the app. So this app is where all of these products are and everything, and I made a second product grid. I called it the accessories grid because I was thinking I would treat it a little bit differently, but really it's just other products. So I may refactor this later, but for now I just made a second product grid and put it right underneath. So we've got the main product grid and we've got accessories grid. But what I want to do is make this a row, and we'll just call this products container. I want to make a row where the first thing in the row is the products and the second thing in the row is the shopping list. So we'll say something like shopping list container here. And then I'll import that shopping list. Components, sorry for my typing, components, shopping list. And I'll drop that shopping list in there. And if I go up, we're just going to see it's probably going to be populated down here, right? Yeah. So that's not good. What I want it to be is kind of in a row. So I'm going to make another big container here. And I'll just call this like, let's call it like the main content container. That's kind of a horrible generic name, but I need something to address it by. And this main content container, it's going to be a flex thingy, and it's going to have flex direction row. So I'm gonna copy this flex direction row stuff that we need here. Yep, and then we should see that gets put into a row, right? There's our list. There is our list. So this list is kind of funky. It's not really like how we want it to look. I'm going to say that shopping list H1 should have text aligned center for sure. And this is not right yet because I also want to give that like width 100%. I want it to expand out. We may have to do some flex stuff here. So I think the way that we're going to do this, we'll do products container, and we'll say the products container should have a flex, a grow of like 3, and then 0 for shrink, and then auto. And then for the other list container, it'll be a 1. So it should be like a 3 to 1 there. So we'll say flex 1, 0 auto. Yeah. So that pushed it way over. That's fine though. That's fine though. I think what I want to do now is do something called a card. And this is a nice little component that has kind of like a header and and like a body part and then like a footer. It's pretty nice for what I want to do with this list thing. So I'm going to grab all of this stuff. And I think we don't want toggle or flat button or any of that kind of stuff, but we probably want all of these. So I'll grab that, throw it in my shopping list of my imports, get rid of paper. This paper is not all that useful for what I want to do. I want to have this nice component-y thing. So I'm going to copy, paste this. Basically, in the header here, yeah, I want it to say your list. Your shopping list. Get rid of this stuff. So that'll be interesting to see what happens here. Flat button is not defined. Yeah, we can get rid of this actions part. Yeah, so this is good. This is kind of good. Kind of what I was thinking. It's huge, so that's crazy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of this just for a minute. I just want that to flow normally for a minute here, just while we try to figure out what I want to do with this stuff. So we've got this card media. I don't think we want that. I think we just want card yeah, this is we'll have to figure out exactly what we want here. I think I want to get rid of that title too. So I just have the card header. It's going to be pretty simple. Yeah, this is fine. Avatar can go. Unless we want to do something cool there and put like a shopping cart in, but for now that can go. And then what's going to be here is something like just a list of your products that you selected. So if we go back to the material UI, this might actually be the time where we use a table. So I believe that putting a table in here would make a lot of sense. So we could do something like this table, and we'll tabulate with the product name and then the price, and then we'll sum up the price at the bottom. So I will go ahead and copy and paste this table stuff again. And I'm going to essentially just copy and paste. I don't want that one. That one's fairly complicated. I think this is a little bit simpler. We'll just essentially copy and paste this with some table rows. I'll just get one table row because I know that I want to generate this. So I'll have something like table, whoops. And we'll do, I'm going to close the table body. Yeah. And then I'll close the table. Just make sure that shows up. Yeah. So we got that stuff there. I'm going to import, this is just temporarily, I'm going to import some products just so that we can just test this out kind of. Let's just grab like the frames, since there are a lot of them. So I'm gonna do an iterator here. I'm gonna iterate over frames. I'll say object.keys for frames map key iterator. And then I'm going to return one of these, a table row, right? So I'll get a table row in there. Indent that just to get our indents like all nice looking. So for the first column, that we don't need that. We don't need that. We just need product and we need price. So the product is going to be frames key dot name, and then of course we also have to put that key on here, remember, or React is going to be unhappy. And then we'll put frames key price, and I'm going to say fixed 2 because I know it's a floating point number. And then the other thing I'm going to do is say $+ just to give it some formatting here. So now you can see we've got all of these. That's doing pretty much what we want it to do. And then finally at the bottom, down at the bottom in this actions block, I'll just have like a big bold like total cost. And then for here, I'm gonna sum this. So again, I'll go through like this with this kind of map, but I'll get a little bit fancier here. And what I will do is say map, and I'll return frames key dot price, and then I will reduce that, and then I'll just return A plus B, and then I'll say to fixed $2 plus. All right, $442. So just to unpack what I did here, I'm sure it's a little crazy looking. I'm iterating through each of the keys in the frames object. I'm mapping the keys, the key object just to an array of prices. So this is going to return an array of prices. And then reduce simply takes the last one, does some operation on it, and then returns it to the next one. So I'm just going to add them. I'm going to go through and sum them. So this is essentially sum everything in that array I just created. And then I'm going to get a floating point number back, I know, since I just summed a bunch of floating point numbers. So I'm going to to fixed on to 2, so it'll only be 2 decimal places. And then I'm going to concatenate that with the $sign. So there we go. Put one more space there. And then we can remove these checkboxes because I think we already selected everything there. So at this point, I believe that you can say multi-selectable false in the table. And then in the table, yeah, also selectable false, I think. And that'll get rid of those checkboxes, I hope. Nope, that did not get rid of checkboxes at all. Adjust for checkbox. Display row checkbox. I believe that is it. That's on table body. All right, let's try that. Okay, and then now there's still a checkbox on the header. Does that do it? No, it does not. There's something else in the header we need to get rid of. It's enable select all is false. All right, there we go. Nope. Enable select all table header. Display select all. All right, I'm sure it's that one since we did every other possible one. All right, so now we have this product. Don't need that subtitle thing. So here's your shopping list. So now the next step will be, I think I want this to follow as you scroll because I think we're going to add a whole lot of products in here. So this will scroll. And then the other thing is we want this to wire up, right? So what that means is I'm going to have to use Redux. So I want it to be so that you check this and then these populate on the side here, and then they get tabulated and summed automatically. And then I'll have X's here so you can just mark them off, and then if you hit the X, this will uncheck and it'll remove itself from the list. So thanks for watching for this one, and then stick around next time, we'll add Redux.